Coaches, good evening. We're in the Gibbs Defense Lab with a really good friend of mine. I've come to know Coach through our Matty Strong clinic, and was kind enough to do a presentation. Coach Rock Bellantoni. Coach, thank you so much for jumping on tonight to talk some defensive line play with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. I love talking ball with coaches. Love spending time with you. I really do appreciate what you did for the Mealy family, man, and being able to do, contribute to that clinic means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to Eric. And we're praying for his daughter every day. And man, it's just awesome to see our community come together for that.
Yeah, I think that's one thing. I think when you and I are messaging each other, just talking about like how if one of our guys, needs help, we all kind of band together, and that's really good. And we still got that ongoing. Like you and I were talking off camera, we have 176. I'd like to get to 200 registered, so hopefully we can get that done. But Coach, why don't you, guys that have known you from different stops, maybe Auburn, just kind of talk about your coaching journey and then how you ended up as a analyst and helping out with the defensive line at NC State.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the journey gets longer every year. It may take a while, but this will be my 32nd year in college coaching. And, I started off at a Division III school in Iowa called Buena Vista, where I met my wife. And then I went to Drake University. And the reason I went to Drake was a guy named Dave Dorn was a D coordinator there. And we met our head coach at BV, had worked at Drake previously. So he introduced us at a convention. We got to know each other. I went to work for Dave at Drake, and 3 months later, he left to go to USC. So then Chris Ash took over as a coordinator. Then I took over the coordinator a couple of years later when Chris left. Drake was a great place to meet. I was there 3 years. I was at BV 3 years. After my third year, my first year as a coordinator at Drake, I got offered a job at Eastern Illinois. I went there. I was there 11 seasons. Tony Romo was the quarterback my first year. Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback my last year. We had a hell of a run, a lot of success. I was assistant head coach. I was the head coach when our head coach was ill and ran the team for 2 weeks, and it was great. Not him being ill, but me running the team was fun. That was a lot of fun. And then was really the coach in waiting there for the next 4 seasons, and that plan fell through at the end. And so then I went to Villanova, and I was a special teams coordinator and D-line coach for 2 years at Villanova. Loved my time there. Loved Philadelphia. It was great. Coach Talley, another Hall of Famer, in addition to Coach Spoo and Coach Ash. I've been around some really good coaches. Had a good time there. Then Charlie Partridge got the head job at FAU. I went down to FAU as the D coordinator for 3 seasons with Charlie, who had worked for me at Eastern Illinois, and was also a Drake guy. So, it's just crazy how things go in this business. And had a nice run there. Defensively, we were really good, and Charlie had to build a program back up from the ashes, and did a good job for 3 seasons, and they pulled the plug. Time ran out, and then Coach Kiffin came in and really did what we were hoping to do while we were there after we left. So that spring, that would have been spring of 2017, I had been talking to Coach Dave or Dorn about a job, and I had to turn down every possibility that I had. My wife had cancer. I had to sit out the spring of 2017, which about killed me. Thankfully, Lance Leipold had reached out to me, saved the job for me. I went up to Buffalo at the end of the summer when she was doing better. I was at Buffalo for 2 years, and we had a great run of success at Buffalo, unprecedented. And, Lance did a hell of a job there. After my second year there, Coach Tracy Clays, who I'd coached against at Southern Illinois, was at Washington State, offered me the linebacker job. So I went out to work for Mike Leach, moved out to Pullman, Washington, and Coach Leach and Coach Clays had a falling out, so I got promoted to coordinator for the rest of the season. It was a wild ride, and then COVID came, and then Coach Leach moved to Mississippi State, and he didn't have room for me, so I ended up going to Utah State, and that was during COVID, and it was a mess. And Gary Anderson, I worked for him. I loved working for him, and then it didn't work out with him, so then I was on the move again. So I went to Auburn for the first time, and man, it was a blessing for me to be able to go there. Was there with Coach Harsin for his 2 years, and he got let go. So I got blessed with the opportunity to go, blessed being let go at Auburn. But going back to FAU, where my family had relocated, was what my family needed at the time. And that was a wild ride for 2 years. I'm going to have a great podcast someday too, Coach. But it was a wild ride. And then, the new coach came in after Coach Herman was let go, and he wanted to keep me. So I was going to stay there. But Coach Freeze had called me back a couple weeks after that and we started talking about the possibility of going back to Auburn. So I went back to Auburn. Auburn and FAU are two very special places to me, and to be able to go back home to Auburn was a dream come true. And then Coach Freeze got let go, and then Coach Doran had called me right the day after that they said they weren't going to retain me, and we started talking about a job and the possibility of things in the future here and all that. And I'm just blessed and thankful to be around him again for a guy I've known for 28 years. To be able to be in the building with him and help him try to achieve some success means a lot to me.
That Coach, let me tell you, like, listen to your journey, man. Like, I always, and that's one of the questions I always ask, because like, I feel like this is my 26th season coaching high school football, right? So like, you're 32 years in college. It's like, there's so many coaches that think it's going to happen right away. That like, hey, I'm going to do a job 1 year and then boom, I'm going to get, this. And I love listening to that, because it shows the hard work and dedication that not just you, but your family put into, the opportunities that you had. Like, I referenced my brother-in-law, when we're off camera, like he was at, Mizzou with Coach Pinkel. Then he was the OC for Coach Steck at Missouri State. Then he went to Pullman with where you were at with Coach Dickert. Now he's at, Wake. And it's I don't think people really appreciate, not everybody, I know some people do, but I don't think people really appreciate like everything that you and your family go through when there's the 2 year, then it's a 11 year, and you get comfortable and you raise your kids, and then boom. I can remember like Coach Partridge was someone that did a clinic for Coach Mealy's, and him and I were talking, like when I first moved out of Florida, he was one of the first coaches that I met. Yep. FAU is a great place. Like, you see the Atlantic Ocean from the top of the stadium, man. I mean, Coach, like it's like the place is awesome,
It's amazing.
So I really appreciate you talking about that. And obviously, when I talk, we hold Coach Doran and the NC State program the highest regards in our household for everything he did for our family.
Can I say something else with that, Coach? Like, yes, you said, it is a long road, and today with young coaches today, I see a lot of, I don't want to call it impatience, but guys are, I think it's our society is a little bit of a microwave society. Things take long. I was a GA at those first two schools for 5.5 seasons, making under $600 a month, and people see you, oh, you make all this money, you coach in the OCC. Well, you know what? I didn't make six figures until I was in my 20th year of coaching. Right. And it is a long road, and it's not for everybody. And everybody has a different path, and that's okay. If coaching is what you feel like you're supposed to do, going in a high school route or even Pee Wee route, if that's what you need to do to fulfill your destiny, I mean, that's it is what it is. It's not for everybody, because they see the end result and they Google you and they you make this and you've made that and blah blah blah. But they didn't see us having to rip our kids' hearts out and move from Charleston, Illinois, where they were all born. They didn't see us. Left kicking and screaming to go to Philly, but they love Philly. And then we moved them to Florida, and there was the unknown of that. And that was the biggest blessing of all, because they're baseball guys. And, but they didn't see, my oldest having to move his senior year from Boca Raton, Florida to Pullman, Washington. My middle kid went 4 high schools in 3 different states, and they don't see all those things. So I'm really glad you said that. And guys come to me all the time, Coach, I want to get in coaching. I want to start coaching. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do this. This is not for everybody. But if you feel like you're called by God to do it, then it's worth doing. Because if it's not that, if it's just an occupation for you and it's not a calling, it's not worth doing. It's not worth putting your family through and those things. And I've actually talked quite a few people out of doing it, but I've also helped a lot of people too that did think it was their calling. So I'm sorry to go off tangent on that, but I think it's important for guys to hear those things.
Coach, I think it's great, because I think I call a lot of the generation today, and I think that it's like like you brought up, it's like the Google generation. Like we want everything like right now, but it's like, you talked about your journey from the GA to moving up, and like it's like, they feel like if they're a position coach 1 year, then they're, I want to be a coordinator. But do you really understand what goes into being the coordinator, right? Or the head coach, or, what have you. And no, I think that's all great stuff for guys to hear at any level, because it's the work, the dedication. And like you said, it's a calling, right? Like, not everybody's built for this. And I really appreciate you going through that, man. And like I said, I love when guys tell their story. I really do. I think that's awesome.
Right. So, I did the pass rush clinic for Coach Mey. So I wanted to do something a little bit different tonight. I love being a coordinator, and I can't wait to be a coordinator again. I really feel like the next time I get a chance to do it would be the best time I've done it. You learn things different every year, and you tweak and things of that nature. So I wanted to get into just a few things that I thought guys might benefit. It's basic stuff, but for the the younger coaches on there, there's got to be some type of philosophy, right? So I broke down just how we break down our run fits, and there's stack fit, bow fit, boss fit. There's a 4-way fit for true 2-backs. I only went to the 1-back spread stuff for tonight, and you really can't get into too much in a short meeting, but I wanted to at least have people understand there's a rhyme and a reason to how we do things, right? And it's not, I try to have just the fit concepts apply to everything. So there may be certain pressures that I could just say, hey, this is the pressure, but we're running it like a bow fit or like a stack fit or a boss fit. And that registers with the players so they know how they have to fit things. You don't have to draw up every fit to every play ever made. They just apply their rules. So for a stack fit, as you'll see on the screen, our nickel and will are the box players. They're going to box everything back to the Mike. The Mike would be the spill player to the nickel or the will with 2 overhang safeties. Now, if you were dropping down a safety over number 2, you could still have a stack fit with the nickel, Mike, and will, or Sam, Mike, and will, whatever it is. But that's our stack fit. So if the Y were to insert, if you were to come back and insert over here to the Mike side, the Mike would have to spill that to the nickel. Okay. If you were to insert in here to the A gap, the Mike would spill it to the will, with the nickel being the cutback player. If there was 2 pullers, let's say, they're running OT or I guess it'd be pin and pull. Let's say they're running pin and pull over here, and there's 2 pullers out here. The will would have to box the first puller. The Mike would have to spill the first puller, which would put him outside the second puller. So just when we say stack fit to our backers, that means something to them. They know how to fit things. So just a couple of video examples, if I can get my remote to work. Oh, my remote is not working. That's okay. I could use these. Okay, so just a couple examples here. They're in a 2x2 set. We're in our stack fit, the nickel, Mike, and the will. If you look at the nickel here, he widens out on the snap. That's bad. He should pop his cleats. He's got to fit and make the end right. Our end is lagging into the B gap here, and he doesn't do a very good job of it. So the nickel would have to cover for him in the B gap, but he's really a C gap player. And if you look from the back end, our Mike is going to fall back into the A gap, and our will is going to fall back outside the tight end. That's his fit, is the D gap. And the safeties are overlap players in our quarters here. So the reason we do that, if we're telling the will he's got to box anything coming to him, he's going to fit outside of number 2 here. So the Mike has to fall back into that A gap. And then our end should be lagging right there into the B gap, and he's a little bit late getting there. So the nickel's got to make him right. And if we do happen to get split, then the safety's got to get him on the ground. Okay. Now here, don't necessarily like using this team, but there's it's a good run fit clip. We were looking for teaching clips. Tyler Cardwell, who actually works at that place now, he used to work with me at Auburn and FAU. He found a nice little stack clip here. Ignore where the front is shaded. That's not important. But here comes the pullers, right? So the end for them is boxing. Now the Mike is going to spill whoever gets to him, 86, because the nickel is going to be the box player, right? So he's spilling to the nickel. That would put the will, number 30, as the cutback player in the stack fit here. So a very good look at what a stack fit would look like with pullers. Okay. Now in this formation, with the number 2 tight to the line of scrimmage here, we would call hammer here. A nickel becomes a D gap player, and really the safety replaces the nickel in the fit. So it's still a stack fit. The Mike is the middle piece. The nickel is going to fit outside of 2, and the safety is going to replace the nickel on run action into that open B gap. So as you can see, that little fold block there, our Mike, 45, he should fit inside of that puller to the safety in the open B gap. Safety should have the B gap. And then again, in 2x2, our will linebacker, number 52 here, he would fit the D gap as a fallback fitter in 2x2. Okay. Okay, now go to this one. It's FIB. So there's 2 receivers outside here to the boundary. This backer for us, our will backer, we call him a 2-pop player. When you're out of the box with the back offset to you, you're not really in the fit. You're a quarterback player to bubble, to any screen outside. Really, you're out of the fit. The nickel, he's outside number 2 on the line of scrimmage here. And again, the Mike, number 30, he's a fallback fitter in 2x2. So we get stretch action That puts the Mike, number 30. Well, we were lagging with number 50 there. So the 30 would be an A-gap player. 99 is lagging into the A-gap. The nickel would be the D-gap fitter. And now 36 would end up overlapping into that open B-gap. So, again, stack fit with a hammer call. The safety has to replace the nickel down there in the fit. So just, again, applying the concepts. Here's a look. I'll leave it on the wide here. Number 3, our will linebacker to the top. He's the 2-pop player. We don't really need him in the fit. He shouldn't be shuffling inside. He's the bubble player. He's a screen player. So now he's got to put his foot in the ground. He's got to go react, and he'll get crack replaced by the corner. And if you look at the back end here with the pullers coming, let me see. Okay, so the center, they're running a little fold scheme with the center. Again, the Mike would end up spilling that puller to the safety, replacing the nickel in the B gap. All right. Okay, 2x2 again here. Now this is funky, right? 2 tight ends off the ball. So when we're in an ace type formation, look, we just let flow declare which way the gaps are going, and we fall back fit. It's 2x2 becoming 3x1. So flow is coming to the Mike linebacker. Okay, he's going to fall back into that open A. The end to the field is going to lag into the B, which keeps the nickel in the C gap, so his fit is consistent. 9 is going to fall back, and now he's got to take 3 to the flat because that's his coverage. So that's just our fallback fits with a stack fit. Okay, when it's 3x1, we could be in solo, we could be in mini. When it's solo, we're gapped out in the zone, but it's still a stack fit. Okay, so if the tight end was tight to the core here and the nickel was in the box and there was any puller to the Mike, he would spill to the nickel. The will would still box back to the Mike, and now a late cutback player would probably be the yo going back. The nickel will become the cutback player and those types of things, but it's still stack fit, so it still carries over. If we're in mini, now that would be a little bit different. If we had the safety come down based on formation, or if we wanted to get an extra hat in the box, that could become a bow fit, which I'll get to later. But if we're not doing that, then it's still a stack fit with pullers. All right, now let's talk about bow fit real quick. And if anybody ever has questions about this, they can contact me. I get in a lot more detail. It's hard to do that in a short amount of time, but I wanted to throw something at some guys that might help them. Bow fit for us, some guys call this boss because they're bumped over strong. I call it bow because the weak side safety, the boundary safety is coming down. He's in the fit. So they know to the weak side, our guy's coming down into the fit. So it's Mike is going to be the outside piece. The nickel, it's middle close. He's outside of number 2. He's out of the fit. So it's Mike is the outside piece over here. The will is the middle piece, and the safety is the outside piece to the boundary. So that's a bow fit for us. So if we were running like a corner pressure here, that's just a bow fit, right? Or that might not be a good example because the safety would be an outside third player. But if it was some type of man pressure on this side, it would be a bow fit. So again, we can tell our guys, hey, treat it like a bow fit, treat it like a boss fit, and it means a lot to them to make it easier. So here we're in bow fit. Okay, the yo is off the ball, so we're treating him like a fullback. Weak side safety's coming down. He'll fit outside of number 2. Now number 2 goes back. That brings the safety back into the open A gap. Brings the will, number 9, into the open B gap, and he goes a hair too far here at the end. But then you see the Mike coming back in the bow fit. He fits outside the tight end, and he's a D gap defender. So that's a really good bow fit. Really good look at it. Okay, now here's bow versus the insert. All right, so the safety, number 5, is down. It's down left. He's in a bow fit. He's matching the pad of number 2. Now he's guessing crack on that motion. Can't be guessing. Got to have my eyes on my key. Tight end goes back, so I got to match him inside because the will is going to spill that guy to me if I'm number 5. And he's a little bit late getting there. It causes a missed tackle. The Mike would be the cutback player to the field in the open B gap, so he's not going to fall back across the center. We should be in great shape here if number 5 didn't take the false steps outside. That's a really good look at a bow fit for us with a 2-back situation. And a nice job by the safety getting them on the ground. Both those safeties were at UCF this past year. All right, so boss fit. Boss fit now, the nickel's outside number 2, the safety to the field, our passing strength safety, hence the S, is coming down into the box. He's the extra fitter. So the will is the outside piece, just like he is in stack. Mike is the middle piece, just like he is in stack. But instead of the nickel, it's the safety dropping down into the box. So we call it a boss fit. And again, that falls into some of our pressures. So here, boss fit against split zone, okay, or counter. The yo is coming back. So 21 in the boss fit, he's got to fit outside the yo. He's going to box it back. The Mike is the middle piece. He would spill anybody coming to him. and they leave him unblocked, and he misses the tackle. And the safety to the field, he's late getting there, but he becomes the cutback player, right? So, again, boss fit. Will, back to the mic, back to the safety. I didn't think it was live, so that was just a missed tackle without even having to be live. Not good by him. All right, so now boss fit here. Our safety's dropping down to the D gap. Mike's a little bit wide in his alignment. He's an A gap player. Now with the boss fit, with the safety being the extra fitter, and even on the fold here, the will number 9 should be outside that center. Okay, the center's with the Seahawks now, Super Bowl champion. Outside the center, which would leave the Mike 21 unblocked, and 21 would be making this tackle, and then the safety would be cut back in the D gap. So that's a good look at a boss fit. Okay, now when it's one back and we got the middle field closed, we're gapped out. We just call those gap fits. And here's a look at that. Safety's coming down to the boundary, so that leaves the will and the Mike in the box. Mike has the B gap here. The will has the A gap. This is nothing revolutionary, but that's just how we define the gaps. And I think it's important as you're communicating to the players, what kind of fitter am I? What am I? A stack fit, a boss fit, a bow fit? Is it gaps fit? Is it fallback fit? Four-way fit? I just think it makes a lot of sense to them when you put them in those terms. Now the safety's on the line of scrimmage, so the safety to the field is dropping down to the D gap. Again, that makes him the D gap player. The will, number 21, is the A gap player, and the Mike, 44, he's the B gap player. So we are gapped out. There should be nowhere to go across the board. We should be solid, should have really good run defense, as long as the quarterback doesn't pull the ball, I suppose. And we did. All right, so that's our fit concepts. And it applies the motion, right? So here we are 2 by 2 down into the boundary. And when the guy goes in motion, we just actually, this is we're down left here. The ball's in the middle. The nickel is to the right. So this would be a bow fit, down left with a bow fit. But the motion man coming, the safety's got to fit outside of 2 with the motion. So we'll just slide. Safety would fit outside. He would take the jet. Now the will slides a little too far here. He's just moving outside of number 3, who's the tight end. The Mike slides to the open gap. The nickel slides to the open gap. And then when the yo comes back, we just go back with him. So the boss and bow and stack fits, they can be interchangeable on the run also, right? So it goes from a boss fit. Once the safety is out of the box, taking the jet, it goes back to a stack fit, right? So I don't even know if we explain it to them that way, but just fit concept-wise, it means it just makes sense to the players when you explain them in that regard. Okay, and now here's one. They're motioning to the field. We're down left, tight end on the line, so the safety would be a D-gap player. With the motion, the corner is going to become the D-gap player. He's just going to do it from off. Safety slides to the open gap. Will slides to the open gap. Mike slides so he can't get out leveraged by 3. He should be a lot more aggressive on that bubble. But it becomes a bow fit on the motion. So our guys know that. They communicate it, actually. They say bow, bow, bow. Slide, slide, bow, bow. All right? So just a couple of things with some run fits. And again, if guys have questions, they can always reach out to me. Then I wanted to spend a couple of minutes. There's 2 things I really love doing in scheme, right? Other things about football I love, but scheme, it's number 1, fitting up run plays. Number 2, it's attacking protections. Those are my passions. So just a couple of basic things here in terms of attacking protections. Like I think if you just call pressures and you're spinning the dial, I don't know how much you get out of that on passing downs. I think you really got to try to figure out what they're going to be in and impact the protections. But sometimes, man, it's just speed over scheme. These first 3 are just, this is not, a perfect scheme against a protection. It's just us running the blitz faster than the offense is blocking it, right? And I think we always try to have the perfect call on in this game, offensively, defensively. Sometimes you just got to let your best players go and do what they're really good at, right? So they bust the protection. The guard is looking to peel back on somebody, and he lets the 3 technique go, and we're just playing faster than they are. On this one, okay, so this is, I believe, a second down. We're probably thinking play action, trying to bring a 6-man blitz, going 2-on-1 on the back with number 0, number 43 are blitzing, and they end up moving the pocket. But it's just our blitzer. It's blitzer over blitz, right? He's playing faster. Number 0 is playing faster than the opponent's team is playing, and we end up getting a sack out of it. That ain't a great call. That's not, some perfect call that you have on and schemed up and dialed up. But it looks like it was a great call because of the result of the great blitzer, right? Third one, and again, speed over scheme. This is a mixed down pressure, 5-man pressure. We're bringing our Mike. He has great timing, times it up on the run, beats the back block of the tight end, ends up disrupting the RPO, really. That's an RPO, and he messes up both the give and the pass. just speed over scheme. Okay. Now this third down, this is actually the last play of the game against Tulsa in 2023. I think you got to put your players in the best position to be successful. And the best way to do that is if you have good pass rushers, get them one-on-one, and someone's got to win. Okay. Sometimes you don't have the best pass rushers, and you got to generate some movement to try to create some pressure. And a lot of times you do, right? And this group here was one of those. Okay. We're trying to get one-on-ones. We're wrapping the outside guy, the 5 technique, away from the back, trying to create some movement. We know we're going to get 5-0 protection. We know we're going to get man protection. We're going to wrap him into the A-gap, hoping that we pick somebody and he comes free, because we maybe don't necessarily win one-on-one consistently enough, right? It also gets our nose guard, who's with the 49ers, a chance to win one-on-one, which he kind of does. And our Mike backer to the field here beats a tackle with speed and ends up getting a sack. So, yeah, we had a couple guys win one-on-one there, but the wrapper to the A-gap also came free and got picked up by the back, which would make number 9 be an add-on blitzer once he sees the back blocking to overload the protection, right? We're running the same blitz here just out of a 4-down look, okay? You don't want to be too predictable, but we're wrapping the end away from the back. The linebacker to the back, he's going to blitz the opposite A-gap, and it's the same look, right? He's the nose now. Number 9 is going to be the nose. We're wrapping the guy away from the back into the open A and trying to create one-on-ones for the 3 techniques in the other end. So we're, again, trying to create one-on-one. 16's coming free. He's a little bit wide as he loops. Otherwise, he got a nice hit on the QB. But sometimes you got to generate pressure for these guys, because they just, they're not going to be those high-level draft picks that can win one-on-one all the time, right? So we got to try to help them out with the scheme. All right, here we're attacking 5-0 protection again. All right, we're trying to get our will linebacker, number 9, on their running back one-on-one, and it worked out, right? So we're trying to go one-on-ones up front, trying to get the nose to win his one-on-one battle. Our 3 techniques are working: B, rush to contain. We're wrapping the backer to the back to become the extra add-on player, and then the other guy's a spy in case they throw a screen or something breaks down on our blitz and we get split and ends up with a sack, right? So, again, attacking the protection, trying to get one-on-ones. Here's the same blitz the following year against North Texas, trying to get our will, number 3, matched up on their back and trying to have him win, which he did. Now, our B-gap to contain didn't work too good to the boundary, but that allows our spy, 95. He's a little bit over-aggressive. 95 should be, as the spy, he should slow down a little bit. He's getting a little bit too hungry to make a play there to pull it up on the outside. But you can see what we wanted out of the blitz, other than the contain issue, and it ended up being an incomplete pass, damn near a pick. Okay, now, so a lot of teams will slide away from the back, right, to put the center away from the back. So we know we're going to have the man side to the back side. So we're going to try to get 2-on-1 with the backers on the back, right? So we got a long stick by our 3 technique. He's going to go into the A-gap. Hopefully the guard goes with him. The backer to the back is going underneath the back, and the other backer is wrapping nice and tight, which also creates one-on-ones on the outside for our 2 edge guys. And 16 just completely, we got to go to the upfield shoulder here. He's keeping his eyes outside. He's keeping his outside arm free, but you got to go to the upfield shoulder. If he does, he's got a sack, or 3 has a dunk, right? So, sometimes it doesn't work out, but the attacking the protection definitely did. Here, the guard did not go down with the 3 technique. He cut him loose, which was nice for the 3 technique, but it's the same pressure, so we end up getting the guy free, the 3 technique and actually the Mike backer. Again, trying to attack away from the slot, or away from their slot, where they're slide in the center. Here now, we're trying to attack the slide where we're getting a big on the running back. 49 to the field, he's going to wrap into the A-gap. 43 is going to press up field in the A-gap. 49 is wrapping to the opposite A-gap, and we're trying to get a big on the running back. That should be a mismatch as well, and you should expect the cut. Okay, and also with the wrapper coming, center gives up on the Mike, who ends up getting a dunk sack. Right, so sometimes you know which way they're going to slide. You try to attack away from the slide. Sometimes you know they're going to slide this way. You try to attack to the slide. And then there's other ways to manipulate it too, with a load front and things of that nature. And now here we're going to the boundary. 43 is going to rush the boundary A-gap, and the boundary end is going to wrap to the opposite A-gap. And we're in hot coverage here, 2 under 3 deep. So the back, we don't peel with them. We let them go, and they end up throwing hot to them. We get it down on 3rd and 9 or whatever. It was a 5-yard gain. We're off the field on 4th down. So here's one where we went double A gap, double mug look, and we're trying to run a twist here on the center. All right, we're trying to attack the back, get 2-on-1 on the back with number 3 running a natural pick on 52, not necessarily going out of his way to pick 52, but trying to go under the back, which would cause a little bit of a pile up there and allow the back or the other backer 44 to wrap outside the back, and it didn't work out too good. Number 3 jumped outside the back. Selfish decision, can't do that. But it ended up being an incomplete. You get him off the spot, man. He's not sitting back there waiting to throw the ball. Okay, this is an NCAA pressure. Just a little different spin on it. You know, on NCAA, you'd have the outside backer coming, the Mike as the trail blitzer, right? Well, we had the end to the boundary here. Instead of dropping him in coverage, we'd rather have the Will be the dropper in 3 under 3 deep. And our end to the boundary ends up being a spy add to where that Mike would be the trail blitzer in the NCAA blitz, right? So he's playing run, he's playing the C gap. If it's pass, he's going to go spy and add. Now he gets affected by the 5 technique, doesn't come under the guard fast enough, so he sees air right there. 19 should be thinking add right through here, but 90 was a little bit slow getting there. So it's a little bit different spin on the NCAA blitz because we'd rather have the rushers rush and the droppers drop. Now here's a max pro blitz, right? 2 off the edge, the Mike and the nickel dropping off the edge. We're rolling to a half to the field. Okay, so the Mike beats the tackle with speed. The nickel's unblocked. He's tiptoeing a little bit. Young freshman in there, probably running the blitz for the first time in a game. But we got the half to the field, and they end up throwing us a pick that we got down. He must have stepped out of bounds right there, but we thought it was a pick 6. So, you know, again, trying to generate some pressure and attacking their protections. Knowing they're going max pro, that's okay. You can still attack where they're – if the back is going to go to the boundary, you can still attack to the field here and get 2-on-1 on the tackle, which is what happened. This one, we're a little bit late with the Will, and I think it's also the disguise of the safety coming down to the boundary, let the quarterback know what we were doing. But the Will's unblocked here. We knew in empty, we blitzed a lot from the field. They were going to slide to the field. We'd have the Will unblocked to the boundary. He's just late getting there, and I think it was also a giveaway by the safety. Quarterback knew where to go with the ball. But when you talk about in terms of attacking protections, that part of it was good. The timing part of it we need to work at, but that's kind of what I had. Oop. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're good, Coach.
Okay, let me minimize that because I can't see you. Okay.
All right. That was, I mean, that stuff. Like I come from the Coach Don Brown school of he'd blitz somebody off the press box, Coach. He'd blitz somebody off the press box if he could. Absolutely. So I love all the, attacking I love the attacking protections. Like I think it seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but all the clips that you've shown, all the guys knew their job. Like everybody knew their role, knew where they fit, and it's like, I love the point you made about, because quarterbacks, they sit back there and they're 7-on-7s and all this stuff. It's like, you know what? Now we're going to bring a guy, we're going to give you a presentation, and now we're going to change the picture on you. And now you're going to have to slide one way or do this or do that. And it's not like practice where you're not getting touched. And I thought all that stuff was great.
The other thing you say that, Coach, with the portal, right? Guys are jumping from school to school, and they're not in the same system for 3-4 years where they know where they're going with the ball. I'm not saying they don't know, but it's not as natural to them. And maybe the guys up front haven't been playing together very long. So the more multiple you can be and the more looks you can give them, I think the more effective you're going to be as a coordinator too.
I agree 100%. So talking about, evaluating talent. So what is, like, when you guys watch film, obviously, you're getting on the road next week. So like, what are the biggest traits you guys look for when you evaluate an edge guy or a defensive guy coming out of high school? Because I'm a high school coach. So, and this, just coaching as long as you have, how much the portal has had an impact on the high school football player, right? So high school coaches or players that are going to listen to this, what are some things that you can kind of let them in on what you guys look for in high school at edge or defensive lineman?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the portal is good and it's bad, right? And you can get somebody with some experience. I still love getting a young guy to come in as a freshman, watch him grow up and develop them. I think what you're looking for is length. You want a guy that's as long as possible, as long as you can get, because that the longer he is, the better levers he has for both pass rush and run blocking, the block destruction. So the guy with length is number one. Athleticism. Can he run? He's got to be able to run because he can help you on special teams. He can chase down screens. He can chase the quarterback. Can he run? Okay. The other one, the next one is physical. Change of direction to me is huge at edge. Guys can he bend, right? What kind of hips does he have? Sometimes that's hard to evaluate on film, but you can see how he changes directions because he may have to drop. He may be rushing the quarterback, have to put his foot in the ground. So is he long? Can he run? Can he change directions? The other one I want to see on film is violent physicality. And some guy may be 210 pounds. He may not be the most physical guy yet, but he's sticking his nose in there. And when he hits somebody, the guy goes backwards. He doesn't get run over, right? Because if he's not violent and physical, no matter how big he is in high school, it's going to be hard. I don't know how much more violent and physical he's going to get when he gets to college. Some guys do flourish and grow and all those things, but he's got to really love contact. You're either trying to create contact or avoid contact. I want a guy that creates contact.
I think those are all great points. So when you guys, when you're watching a recruit's film, and again, everybody's going to put, I help our guys put highlights together, and again, it's hey, these are great, but is it when you guys watch them, is it okay, I like this kid's highlights? Is it a process of moving them up to the next level? Is it I need to go, if I can, I need to go watch this guy in person, or he needs to come to camp? What are some of those tips you can give these kids?
That's great. Okay. So, at Auburn, we had a staff of people, young guys, which my son is one of those now. They cut up film, right? So we'll watch the highlights, but then they have a point of attack tape. And high school players don't realize this, but we watch every play where he's involved, right? If he's loafing on the backside of a play, it's on that point of attack tape too. So we'll watch the highlights, but the highlights are just, they get your attention to look at the rest of it. So what's he like when the ball's coming at him? Or is he just making plays when he's unblocked, right? Yep. So what's he like there? Is he straining on the backside of a play? What kind of effort is he giving? Because if he's not playing hard in high school trying to get to college, once you put some money in his pocket and make him comfortable, he's not going to play hard all of a sudden. Right? Yeah. So we'll watch that point of attack tape. And then I think the biggest part of the evaluation is going out and spending time with the person, right? What kind of kid is he? How is he wired? I can look a kid in the eye and meet with him for 15 minutes and know whether sometimes you get fooled, but know whether he's going to be a dude, in terms of work ethic and strain. And, one of the questions I know you're probably going to ask me is what is a common thing that my best players have had? It's a sense of pride in not failing. I'm not going to fail. Nothing is going to stop me from being successful. And when you go spend time with him and his parents and even his coaches and his mentors, whoever's around him, you see how he acts around them, you can usually tell if he's a dude or not. That's a bigger part of the evaluation than – it's not just talent. You don't just click on a highlight film. Guys send me films all over and, oh, look at this guy, coach. Where do you think he can play? Hell, I don't know. I need to talk to this guy. I need to see how he's wired. So I know that's a long-winded answer.
No, listen, coach, I think all of it's because, the process is ever evolving. Right. So it's we have kids that, they're influenced by people that either A, want to benefit off them or B, they're just misguided. And it's and you can speak to this, with the way the language is written now with the NAI and the JUCO, it's okay to go to an NAIA for a year or two to get bigger, faster, stronger, to get film, because you may not be at the ACC, SEC level right now, but in 2 years you could be.
Yep. And
then jump in the portal and you have the 4 to 5 years of eligibility left. So that's where I think the high school coach really struggles, because especially down, you were in Florida, you were in it's just, for us, it's a frustrating process, because it's there's so much outside influence on a lot of these kids, of people that don't understand what you just described. Yep. It's, oh, coach, he had 3 sacks last game. Why doesn't he have an offer? Well, yeah,
there's so much that goes into it, and the roster limits now, and the amount of opportunities are limited. And look, I've had four boys play college baseball, and all four of them have started off at a junior college, right? And then the older two both went to NAIA schools, and I got to tell you, those NAIA schools would beat some of the Division I players teams that. And at FAU, we signed a few kids from Kaiser that ended up being really, really good players for us at the Division I level. Like, if you can play, you can play, and there's a lot of value in going and playing and developing instead of staying on the sideline or redshirting just so you can go tell your parents can go tell all their friends downtown that my son's at a D1 school. And I think people need to realize that a college education is a college education, and a chance to keep playing the game they love is a chance to keep playing the game they love. And if they're good enough, they'll have a chance to make money at it. But you're not going to sell a guy, you're not going to sell a coach a bill of goods on a kid that's just not going to help your program win right now. I mean, that's just we got to try to keep our jobs, and there's so much money on the line that you're paying even the kids now that you're not going to make a mistake like that. So there's a lot of unknowns.
No, and I think that's a great point too. Like, you know, I always, when we have our recruiting meeting with the parents on Saturday, and I always tell parents, like, listen, I'm not going to lie to a coach for your kid. Like, at the end of the day, like, they have to prove their worth, you know, in the classroom and on the field. But also too, I said, you know, the college coaches, they're coaching to put food on the table for their families. So, you know, and I don't want to be the guy to not tell you the truth, and then you take a shot on a kid and it's something that doesn't work out. Then, well, we're not going to that school anymore because that for whatever reason, right? But
it's the same for us with the NFL scouts that come in. The same thing with, you know, we wouldn't mind working at that level someday. So we're not going to go
right. 100%. No, 100%. I'm with you. So you're recruiting a high school kid. So, you know, you get a high school kid to come in. He's at interior and edge. What are some of the biggest adjustments that these defensive linemen from senior year in high school to spring ball, let's say they're an early graduate, right? You know, what are some of the biggest adjustments they must make when they arrive on campus in Raleigh?
I think the biggest adjustment is the time management. You know, so much goes into it, the lifting, the study hall, all the things, all the responsibilities. Time management's a huge one. The amount of meeting time that we have, guys are not ready for that, right? We meet and meet and meet. I think for D linemen, really any position, listen, how I say this is, you know, guys they do go to watch college football games. They do go to watch practice. And well, he's not that much bigger than me. He's not that much better than me, but that guy might be a walk-on. That guy might be a true freshman who just got there also, who's not developed yet. I think for the linemen, the biggest, like, these are 23, some 24-year-old dudes are grown men, and they are physical, right? The level of physicality is a surprise to a lot of guys initially. And then also for D linemen in particular, the edge guys, because those guys are usually uber athletic, right? And just the amount of technique that you have to play with at our level, you can't just run by fat tackles anymore in height like you would in high school. You got to play with great technique or you're going to be embarrassed, you know? And I think they learned that pretty quick the first couple of practices.
So that's going to lead me to my next question. So how important is a hand placement technique guy compared to a guy that just is like a stud raw athletic guy? Like when they get to practice, you're like, man, this dude's a athlete but X, or this guy has great fundamentals but needs to work on this. Like what do you think?
Yeah, in terms of evaluation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, that's a great question, because you got to have the guy that's super athletic that's going to get better at the technique. Right. But if you have if it depends on what your need that year is in your room. Like if you need a guy that could come in and contribute right away, you may go with the guy that's a little bit more polished technique wise. But if you have a couple older guys and the guy can come in and you got some time for him to be ready for the following year, I'm taking the more talented guy that's more raw, that's not topped out. You know, some guys that have a personal trainer for lifting, they have a pass rush trainer, they do all these things. They may not may not improve as much as the guy that's raw and doesn't have the opportunity for those things. So really depends on what you have in your room. But that is a great question.
So, and this is just like you talked about your four sons, you know, playing baseball. My son is just turned 12, and we let him play tackle football for the first time, and he's a quarterback. I don't know where he gets it from. I was a running back and a linebacker, so must have been both the grandfathers, I guess, maybe at some
we'll
point.
Take it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you brought the training aspect. Like, do you feel like if obviously, you're recruiting a kid, like you're going to get to know him, like, hey, I have this coach for this coach for that. Do you see when you finally get them, are they like robotic in a sense where they're just programmed to do certain things, and then you kind of have to unprogram to do kind of what you want to do, if that question makes sense?
You mean coaches' kids or just kids in general?
Just kids in general, just to have all these different, like, I have a trainer for this, a trainer for that, and then you get them and you're like, maybe something else.
There's some guys that are. Some guys are some guys are really coach pleasers, right? And I think about my kids when I say this, that they grew up with a coach as a dad. They want to please the coach. So they're going to try to do everything that the coach says to do, which will paralyze them a little bit sometimes, where they're not just cutting it loose and saying, screw it, I'm going. Right. And then you got the other guys that don't really want to please the coach. They just want to do it their way until they get it wrong and you fix it. And although you like to have a balance there, right? Don't do everything I say, but do everything I say. Don't do it exactly the way I say, but do it the way I teach you to do it. It's a case by case basis, but there are some guys that are paralyzed by trying to be too perfect. I guess you got to cut it loose, man. And have some fun.
No, I'm with it. And it's kind of like, with my son, like I tell him, like, all the time, like, dude, you're in the driveway when you take the snap. Yep. Like, you're like, just listen to what your coach tells you. But like, if you got to get out of the pocket, man, it's just like we're having a catch in the driveway. Like, just be creative, and we'll deal with the repercussions.
I've told my players, like, when we go out and play in a big venue, don't, especially when you're like a FAU or Buffalo, or one of those, you go in a bigger stadium, Clemson or whatever. Hey man, we're just in the backyard here. We're just in the backyard behind the facility. All that matters is your key. You got your eye on your key. Just lock in on your key. Don't worry about all the out, and it's easy to say, right? Because we're not the ones on national TV doing this thing. but I think you're exactly right.
Okay. Awesome. What role does toughness and accountability play inside the defensive line room at NC State?
Just this football team in general. One of the Coach Dorn's thing is hard, tough, and together, right? That's like the motto of our team: hard, tough, together, HTT. And if you're not physically and mentally tough, you're not going to make it here. If you're not accountable, you're not going to make it here. And that's not a negative. Like, you can say, oh, Coach Dorn must be a real hard ass if he's, no, that's not it at all. But it is about accountability. And I think the real guys want to be held accountable. They want to be held to the highest standard because they want to be great. So, if a guy's messing around and doing some things he shouldn't be doing, and you hold him accountable for that, that's a gift to that kid. One of the things that you're a high school coach in Florida, you guys have been complaining about this to me for 20 years. We can't be hard on them in the weight room because they'll transfer. And now with the NIL and portal and all that, we're really hard on this kid. We're going to lose him. Well, if we're not hard on him, we're doing him a disservice, because in 10 years, when he's out in the real world, or even 3 years when he's done with football, he's letting football use him. He's not using football. We've got to hold that kid accountable. So if I'm a parent, I want him playing for Dave Dorn, who's going to hold him accountable without being an asshole about it, right? Like he's because he cares about the kids. And I watch this man stand in front of the room and talk to our team about real life examples. And I see the guys taking notes, and I'm like, these guys are growing, man. This is awesome. Rather than having, if they went somewhere and they're being enabled to do some things that they shouldn't be doing because we're afraid to lose them because they're really talented. That's not helping the kids. So I think you want that discipline in our program. And yeah, we have to be physically tough. Coach Dorn wants to be a physical, tough football team, but we're not going to tackle to the ground every day and injure our players either. He's really smart with that too. So when I say you're not going to make it, it's not a threat. It's not a warning. This is the way you should run a program, and the way he does it here. It's awesome to watch.
And like I've seen it up close and personal. And I remember we went up for the Clemson game in 23, and we got to spend the whole weekend with the team. And I don't think he raised his voice once. Yeah. It was just his presence of, hey, the guys, this is the expectation. This is the standard. This is how we're going to play. And then even at halftime, down a touchdown, there was no panic. Everything was calm. And he sent the message, and ended up coming out on top. Peyton Wilson ended up running INT back, for a touchdown. And I agree with you. Like, one thing I think, and Coach, I'm sure you're the same way. Like, when you coach, you don't coach out of fear, right? It's about, coach them hard, hug them after. Like, you're gonna, hey guys, listen, we're gonna coach you hard. And listen, if kids can't handle adversity, like they're gonna move, right? Like I remember, I think when you guys were at FAU, I remember Coach Partridge coming. I was at Gulf Coast High School at the time in Naples, and he was like, I just went over on the East Coast, and he's like, I'm looking for this kid, and it's his third high school in 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when that whole thing was kind of getting rolling. And, and again, like if you can't handle adversity in high school, how are you going to handle it when it's, like you said, nowadays, like now with the NIL and, all this other stuff, like it's going to be a tough go. It's going to be a tough go.
When you're 30 years old and something happens in your family, what are you going to do then?
What are you going to do?
First time you've ever had to deal with it, right?
I'm with you 100%. So on to that question. So how do you balance coaching players hard while still building trust and relationships with them?
Yeah. So I think this is so important, man. Like the players have to know you love them. They have to know you care about them. You're not using them for something better, and they can see through bullshit real quick.
100%.
If you're fake, they know it. Everybody on the team is going to know it. So just being real, and I'm as real as it gets. I think it starts in recruiting, building a relationship with that kid in recruiting, right? I go back to Aziz Al-Shire, who, we recruited from Tampa, and he was homeless, and his story is really well known. But we really built a relationship with that kid. And when he came to Boca, we could always go back to the visit we did at his youth center because he didn't have a home to go visit. We could always go back to that. So you build a relationship in recruiting. You build a bond in recruiting. Get really close to the kid. He understands that you do care about him because you know where he came from. You promise to bring him here and make him a better man to his mom, get him an education, make him the best player he could be. And if I make a promise to a mom, I'm gonna keep it, right? So that starts in recruiting. Now, I've bounced around to different jobs, and you don't get a chance to recruit a kid, and you walk into the building. Well, I've got to start real quick, and I got to build that bond fast. And the rent is due every day on that. Like one little misstep. One thing you tell a kid and you misstep, that trust is broken. So, I go back to when I went back to Auburn last year, Jared Smith, who was a true freshman. As soon as I got on campus and he was there, hey, come to my office. And he came in every day and sat down next to me so we could build that bond that we didn't get to have in recruiting. And I thought we got really, really close. Kieron Crawford was the first person to read. Keldrick Falk I helped recruit in high school. But Kieron was the first one that got my number and called me when I got the job. I was driving there. And he came into the office right when I got there, and we built a relationship because of some things that he had been through the year before. That was really important to him. And he ended up I told him he could be the best, most improved player in the country. And he was. And I think it goes back to a lot of what we had talked about. So the relationship, man, means everything. And if they know you love them, you can be really hard on them. And you can always just say, look, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm trying to help you be the player you want to be. Yep. And they understand that. And the real ones want to be coached that way. So I know, again, that's a long-winded answer, but I think it's so, so important to have that relationship, man, because that's what this is all about. When it's all said and done, this is about relationships, man. I close my eyes and think about the kids I've coached over the years, and it makes me so happy to see them doing well.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because one of the things I'm the most proud of as a high school guy is I have a text message chain with a bunch of I started coaching and my high school in New Jersey, Manasquan High School in New Jersey. I played there and coached there, and I have a text message from about a 5-year span of guys that I coach, and now guys are getting married, they're having kids, and hey, coach, I just had and it's like that to me is the best thing. The championships are great in the moment, right? And it's now those guys are where we were many moons ago. They're starting their lives, and I think that's the best. I always something will pop up at 7 a.m. Coach, here's my son. Cody McNamara played linebacker for me back in 2011. He just had his first son. Yeah. And it's awesome. I can't agree with you more when it comes to that stuff. So going back to the football aspect, what are some mistakes that the young pass rushers make that kind of limit their growth early on in their careers?
I think I don't know if they really make mistakes. I think think they have to learn that what they did in high school isn't necessarily going to translate to college. If I was a great speed rusher in high school, if the tackle who's 6'7" now instead of 6'2" gets his hand on me and washes me 2 yards up the field, I've opened up an escape lane for the quarterback or a throwing lane for the quarterback. So, everybody's a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, a little bit faster. So some of the things that maybe that worked in high school aren't going to work here. So I've got to really refine my technique. And I think after a couple of times of running by the quarterback and giving up an explosive play, they learn those things. So it's not necessarily something they're doing wrong. They have to really learn when they can take a chance, when they can't take a chance, and why we're telling them certain things about converting to power or getting really good at 1 or 2 speed rushes and a convert to power rush instead of having, all these little fancy spin inside, spin outside, and thinking it's all these fancy moves that are going to get the trick done.
There's only one Dwight Freeney, Reggie White, Aaron Donald, LT. There's only one of those guys, that can get away with that.
No doubt.
And I'm with you. So for players that may be, not in the measurables, quote unquote, or possibly overlook, that are going to listen to this, what can they do to maximize their opportunities to possibly maybe, walk on possibly or earn a scholarship?
Yeah, see, that's the other tough thing with the numbers now. There's a 105 roster limit now, right? So the walk-ons are severely limited. And some schools can give you 105 scholarships, which there's more opportunities for that. But, you can't have 115, 120 guys anymore for the walk-ons to come and grow in the program, which is a shame. That is so sad. But okay, so if you're a little bit undersized, you don't have the measurables, you got to really stand that on film with your speed, your motor, and your physicality. And there's still a place for guys like that. Now, you can't have a room full of it. That's Bill Parcells. You can have an exception, can't have a room full of exceptions, right?
Yep.
So, but if there is a guy that's a little bit undersized, but, man, he makes up for it with a lot of effort and things of that nature, hey, come on in, man. We'll take a chance on him. The other thing goes back to what we were saying earlier. They just may have to go start out at a JUCO or in an AIA school or even, D3 football is really good football. Or D2 school and get some really good film, and maybe they get a little bit better. Maybe they hit a little bit of a growth spurt. And now there's going to be a lot of people coming after them when they go in the portal. And that's okay too. Everybody's path is different. It doesn't, and if they don't make it to the highest level and making all that money and make it to the NFL, that's okay. As long as you maximize your abilities and your opportunities and you gave it everything you had, you look back and you got no regrets, that's a successful career. So I hope that gives a little bit of encouragement to those guys. I wasn't really blessed with those measurables myself.
Listen, Coach, I played in the old MAC conference. I don't know if you remember St. Peter's, Siena.
I played at Iona.
Okay, there you go. So
yes, sir.
So I played at St. Peter's College when the 2 years prior it was D3. Then we went FCS when I got there.
Yep.
And Jay Bateman was the head coach at Siena.
Oh, nice.
When I was playing in the MAC. So the only teams that are left in that conference that are still playing ball, and they're not in the MAC anymore, Georgetown and Duquesne. Those are the only two teams that are left on our schedule. Wagner was an out-of-conference game for us.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad those opportunities disappear.
I know. So, Coach, last question. What continues to drive your passion for coaching and developing young men through the game of football?
Oh, man, I'm really glad you asked that one. I think, again, 32 years of doing this, and every time I go somewhere, I get along great with the kids, right? So the kids always, how old are you, Coach? And I never tell them. I always make them guess, and it's always a lot younger than what I really am. And one of it was 18 years younger a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, you really think that is awesome. So, man, I still relate really well to these guys. And probably because I have kids their age. But I'll get this one out of the way. First, there's some things I want to do in coaching that I haven't done. Win a national championship, coach in the NFL, whatever. I'm dying to be a D coordinator again. Possibility of being a head coach would be great again. But I need to be a coordinator again. I need to prove it to myself and all the thems that you make in your head. I need to do that. I have some things I need to do for myself in football. But your question was about what is it about the kids or my motivation for them? it goes back to, this is a calling for me. This is why I get out of bed in the morning. This is why I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. I could have sat at home and made the same amount of money this year and did nothing. But I wanted to come here and have an effect on kids. I wanted to affect the program. I wanted to help. When I get up in the morning, my feet hit the floor, the first thing I think about is, how can I get these kids better today? How can I help them be the best version of themselves? How can I help the younger coaches on our staff be the best version of themselves? And I really feel like that is my calling. And like, if I didn't do that, I feel like I'm cheating my maker. Like, he put me here to do that, and I have a lot left in the tank to give to this game. So that's why I keep doing this. That's why I keep chasing it, because I have a lot more lives I need to affect. I have a lot of work I still need to get done here over the next, 10, 15 years. They always say, this is a good one too, that, coaching isn't who you are, it's what you do. Well, for me, it's who I am. Like, this is who I am. My kids think I'm a coach. My kids get coached by me. Like, my players get coached by me. The coaches get coached by me, and some of them don't like it, and that's okay. But I am going to pour everything I have every day into the people involved in my life until the day I'm buried in the ground. And man, don't you want to have a purpose in life like that? Like, I don't mean to get on my high horse and my soapbox here, but that's I'm really glad you asked that, because it's a fire that burns inside of you. And for some people, it's making money on Wall Street. That's the fire that burns inside to me. For me, it's like you said, the kid who gets married becomes a great father, husband, a CEO of a company. I love seeing that on Facebook. Like, that brings joy to my life just as much as the guy, Derek Hall, getting 2 sacks in the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. Keldrick Falk and Kieron Crawford getting drafted, and seeing the joy in their family's eyes when they get drafted. I'm sitting here crying on my couch as you see them reach their goals, because you poured into them. And even guys like Damone Harris has played 8 years in the NFL. He's still playing in the UFL, had a sack for the St. Louis Battlehawks last week or the week before. I'm sitting here like, man, that is awesome. Like, I don't know. I just, I'm really passionate about people, man. And that's why I like doing things like this, because I feel like in a small little way, I'm giving back to the game that has given me everything I have in my life. Is this game, everything, wife, kids, places I've lived, people I've met, and I owe a lot to this game. So I'm sorry for the long answer. But.
No, Coach, I'm with you. I agree with you 100%. And listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you were watching some baseball this week. How'd the baseball end up?
The boys ended up falling a little bit short of their goal, making the conference tournament. They had some adversity on their team, but man, I love watching them play. Yep. They're getting better. It's fun to watch. And then, our oldest, he's a baseball GA at Louisville. Okay. So, watching them every night playing, and then, my Yankees are killing it.
Listen, so my parents were diehard 86 Mets fans. Like, my mom loved Gary Carter, and my grandfather was a World War II vet, was a Mickey Mantle guy. And he's like, I'm not having my only grandson be a Met fan. So he got me early on and was like, you are a Yankee fan. And so I've been a Yankee fan ever since.
1986 is the only time I ever rooted for the Mets in my life, because I couldn't see that other team win. But the other team I got to plug right now is my New York Knicks, man. This is our year.
Coach, and this living in Florida, that's one thing, like, growing up in New Jersey and then going to school in Jersey City, going to college, you can hop on a train. Like, I'd be at the Garden in 15, 20 minutes. Like, down here, it's like, I'm not driving 2 hours to go see the Rays play, or 90 minutes to go see the Marlins play, or the Heat. Like, I want to get on a train. I want to go to Garden, watch the Rangers, watch the Knicks. Like that's
those
one
are the days, man.
Everybody asks me, like, what do you miss so much about up north? I'm like, Thanksgiving football. And I said, getting on a train and going to a Knicks or a Rangers game, or Devils, because Devils now play at the Rock in Newark. You can take a train there.
And the pizza.
And the pizza. Yeah, Coach. But hey, listen, Coach, I really appreciate it, man. This is great stuff. Hopefully we can have you on again once you get off the road, and we can talk about some more defensive stuff. But this is awesome, man. I appreciate taking time. And I'm like, we talk about football bringing together. Like, I posted that thing about Coach's Clinic, and you followed me on Twitter, and we just started connecting. And this is great, man. This is why football is the greatest game in the world. And it doesn't matter what level you coach. We're all doing it for God's glory, and we're all doing it for, helping young people become better people at the end of the day. So thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do, Coach. I appreciate it. This is awesome, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.